Howdy, y'all.
I'm Leslie.
I'm Laurie. Welcome to
Sumo Kaboom.
Sumo Kaboom,
where we talk about all things sumo.
That's right. And today we are jumping into the November Basho days 1, 2, and 3. We'd love to talk about all the amazing sumo that is happening all at once, but it's just impossible on a podcast like this. So we just pick our favorite few fights of the day, things that stand out to us that we want to talk about each day. But before we get into that, we finally found out who our mystery Ko-Fi supporter was. I keep saying Ko-Fi, but it's coffee. It's coffee.
It is coffee.
Our mystery coffee supporter that bought the raffle ticket and won is actually Tyler and family from Minnesota?
U.S. area.
Yep,
U.S. U.S. winner.
Yes.
And the other one was Canadian, right?
Yep. Tyler sent us a message that said, after I sent him the package, and he was like, the package arrived and we had such a blast opening the contents. The kids claimed most items, but I was able to secure a few. My personal favorites are the sumo calendar and the printed banzuke. Also, our mystery sumo pin was Ura!
Yay!
So, thank you again. And Tyler also sent this haiku.
Oh, nice.
Holiday raffle. Unexpected win. Listener for life.
I love it. A listener for life. That's amazing. Oh, congratulations, Tyler. I wish everyone could have won.
Me too.
You know?
Me too.
I feel like Oprah. Like, I want to be Oprah. It's like, you get a prize, and you get a prize, and you get a prize. You get a sumo prize.
I know.
It would be amazing to be like the Santa Claus of sumo merch. And
it really would be.
Just keep gifting people awesome things, because sumo merch is hard to come by. You know, there's not any major sumo merch stores besides online. You can't like walk into one and be like, "Oh, I like this."
I know,
shirt.
in the U.S. But we do have the sponsor of our dreams, who leads an amazing online merch store, BigSumoFan.com, who has helped us in our bingo contest for years. If you need sumo merch, you can always go to his store online. He ships all around the world to 30 countries, based in the U.S. So if you want and need sumo merch, head there or win our bingo game. Our bingo game is on. People are signing up right now to play bingo with us. And if you haven't done so yet, go to our website. All of the information is there about how to play bingo with us. It's free, and we hope you play.
Hakuoho finally has his official ginkgo leaf. What do they call it? The oichomage? Mm-hmm. He has his ginkgo leaf hairstyle. So we saw the debut of that. That's huge news, hairstyles. Also, another fun thing I learned, Hoshoryu was interviewed about kind of his wins and loses and wins and losses. He stated that kind of one of the things that helps him is he's able to turn sumo on and off. And did you know when he goes home and goes into his room and watches videos? And do you know what he does? You know what video he watches all the time?
What?
Harry Potter.
Oh, I love
He
this
watches all the Harry Potter movies over and over and over again. So if you're wondering what he does after he does his sumo, he goes back to his room and turns on Harry Potter and watches that over and over again. And I kind of love it, because
who doesn't
I don't
love
know.
Harry Potter?
He does say that he doesn't have much magic to use, though. So that's...
I don't know. I disagree. He has magic. He brings his own kind of magic.
I know, but he thinks he doesn't have any extra magic, like Harry Potter magic to use.
Maybe when he's doing a particularly good throw, like under his voice, maybe he's like, Levitatus. Maybe he's like doing a
he's
wandless...
channeling Voldemort or something?
No, he's just like doing some sort of wand, levitusum, as he's throwing someone down. I wish I had more Harry Potter wand charms that I could say something,
I know. Expelliarmus or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember.
Expelliarmus.
Yeah, whatever those are. I went to Universal and got myself a wand that moves things in the windows. And as a grown adult, I have to say it was totally fun to be able to wave your wand a certain way and have things move.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know it was all like animatronics or whatever, but I don't care. It was good times. I appreciate the power of a good wand.
You know what I'm looking forward to?
What?
Is when Tamawashi turns 40 this week. It's coming up.
Yes.
I cannot wait until we have a 40-year-old out there on the doyo.
I know. And we all love Tamawashi, so I'm glad it's him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited.
The strong man of sumo.
Yeah. I can't wait. I love it. Like doing it for all of us 40-year-olds out there and older, 40-plus crowd. We're going to have, we're going to have a man out there standing in for us. I love it.
Representing all 40-year-olds.
Yeah. 40
all
plus.
Across the world.
Let's just make it 40 plus. Because there's a lot of us. A lot of us older sumo fans that are happy to have someone standing in our stead up there. It's great.
That's right. Day 1 arrives, and I am excited because I feel like the last time I saw sumo, I was there, and then I was also traveling all over Japan. So I still feel like I actually haven't seen sumo like this in like 4 months or something. Like it feels like a really long time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's back. I'm glad I'm back watching it from my TV because it is a different experience. But I will start out day 1 saying we got no Ted Fuji because, as Wilford Brimley says, he's got diabetes. Remember that diabetes commercial from the 80s, nope. 90s where, okay, well, anyway, Wilford Brimley he was like this old 80s actor. And actually, he wasn't old. He just always looked old. And he did a commercial for diabetes. But he kept saying, I got diabetes. And everyone's like, I don't think that's the way it's pronounced. But anyway, I digress. Ted Fuji will not be here. Number of ailments, but one of them is diabetes.
Got it.
We all wait. Hopefully one day he'll return. But until then, we'll hope for a new Yokozuna to be born sooner than later.
Yeah.
I just was excited to see Takeru Fuji in there, the bronze god that he is. It's just, I enjoy looking at him. And he fought day 1 up against, I know, right?
Yeah.
I am worried, like when you look at the top, he's a little Tasmanian devil looking,
yeah.
Like he's really big up top and then he's got like tiny ankles and I worry about his ankles. I want Takeru Fuji's ankles to be thicker. So I'm hoping he's adding some, strength training to those ankles. But he came out with a win up against tiny Asa Koryu, who's not all that tiny, but he is tiny compared to his hair. But anyway, the bronze god quickly took down tiny, sweet, adorable Asa Koryu with a takikomi. He met him strong at the tachiai. He lifted up and then just simply pulled him down, all while staying in within an inch. So it was a nice win, but I only mention that because this was Asa Koryu's debut and it did not go as I'm sure he hoped. He was shortly thereafter followed by Shishi, and this was really fun for me because there was this amazing pride beaming from his oyakata, who is a shimpan at this moment. And I don't even remember the match. He stayed low and he stayed on the offense and Shishi won. That's all to say. But afterwards, the stable master was watching it and he wanted to smile. You could see the corners of his mouth turning up. And then he looked down real quickly to like mark on his paper or whatever. But you could just see how happy he was that Shishi won. And the fans loved it too. He had a lot of energy. He had a lot of positive energy. And he just did some really great sumo. But it was sweet because I feel like when I watched the interview between him and his oyakata and the press after being announced to Makauchi, you kind of got a real sense of his oyakata's personality. And not all the oyakatas have like a genuinely nice kind of personality, and his oyakata has kind of that sweeter energy. So I enjoy that. I enjoy it when you see that not only did Shishi win, but also his oyakata won. So that was kind of fun.
What do you think he was writing on that piece of paper?
Probably just checked off that Shishi won because I think they keep score somehow, but they just marked off something. But I don't know. Maybe he just looked down to hide his smile.
Oh.
But I don't know. One for us. Okay, after that,
Wait, can I go back to something that you said?
Yeah.
One of the things that I am absolutely digging about Asa Koryu is his pre-bout ritual. He does like the Mr. Universe flex. And I am 100% on board for that Mr. Universe flex. It's so good. All he needs to add is the little pivot on the lower body, but he definitely has it in the upper body. And I just, that will never get
what
old
made
to
me
me.
fall in love with Takayasu all those years ago.
Yep.
Is like he had a strong pre-bout ritual that I was completely on board for. So there's a lot to love with this kid.
There really
I mean,
is.
I like him.
It really is.
After that, we had Chiyoshima versus Shona Naomi. I mention it because this is maybe the only time we talk about these two guys in the course of 14 days, unless something crazy happens. Unless something crazy happens. But we're usually not talking about it.
Where's your support?
I love these guys. That's what I'm about to do, Lar. I'm about to talk positively about them. I was like, but we don't normally, mainly because Shona Naomi has been injured. But this is actually, I just mentioned it because I thought it was interesting. Shona Naomi had a big tachiai up top, but he stayed up too high. Now, Chiyoshima got a grip and swung him around the doyo, like do-si-do style. And then I just kind of noticed this because Chiyoshima is looking bigger these days. And I know that's been a trend, but he really has been looking heftier, which is, I think, working out really well for him. And he's doing a lot more grappling. And he came into this bout. He did some grappling. He won over Shona Naomi. And he just kind of exhibited a more mature style of sumo, which I think we've all been waiting for a long time. And I think I'm liking his style. Tamawashi versus Takarafuji. This bout I mentioned on day one because this is going to probably be a theme that we see is Takarafuji has this elbow wrap. And this bout made me go, oh no, this is a really bad injury for Takarafuji. The tachiai Tamawashi then got inside on Takarafuji's belt and kind of forced his body outward, which left that injured elbow, that left elbow kind of hyperextended. And then his back was available for Tamawashi to do a big push, and then Takarafuji just kind of gave up and ran himself out of the doyo. He just was completely afterwards letting his left arm hang down. So I mention this because it made me sad. I always hate when I see these big injuries, but from the beginning of the match, you could see that he couldn't even let his arm completely hang down easily. So the bout could not have helped that injury with the hyperextension.
So you're saying we'll probably see evidence of that injury continue on for the next 15 days, probably?
Yeah, this looks like something he needs surgery for, but as an older wrestler, you're like, you could have all the surgery you want, but you're at an age where it's to come back up is hard.
Oh,
and he's been a veteran
30s.
for so long. So
and it's all downhill once you're in your 30s.
Well, right, because you're so old.
That is why Tamawashi will represent the aged amongst us soon, and I'm looking forward to it.
Anyway, I still love him. He's the dad of sumo. Midori Fuji versus Gonayama. Now, this was really fun because this was a Henka plus a Katsukashi from Midori Fuji.
A Henka
and he
plus?
did that. Henka plus.
Ooh, I like it.
He did a number on Gonayama real quick, and it was brutal, like a snake attack. It was so fast. It was a tachiai, hop to the side, get inside, under the arms, and then he just yanked him to the dirt. Ooh. Textbook double attack. He made it look easy, and everybody was like, thank you very much for bringing the fun on day one.
I would sign up for that channel, that cable channel, Henka Plus. Henka Plus. I like it.
Henka Plus. Yeah.
As long as it's by Midori Fuji. I am
we
100%
love the little guys.
on board.
Then we have Wakamoto Haru versus Abi. Now, they fought out the first match, and it was too close to call. We had a big tachiai from both of these guys. Wakamoto Haru drives forward as Abi sort of tries to lay down Wakamoto Haru into the dirt as he's going backwards. Wakamoto Haru falls with an elbow right at the same time as Abi's foot touches the outside dirt of the ring. So it was kind of the exact same fault. We had a mono-e, and then thankfully we got a tori neoshi, a redo, a 2-for-1, which everybody loves.
Yep.
So the next match was a huge tachiai attack from Abi. Wakamoto Haru absorbs it really well, inches back on Abi, and as Abi retreats backwards, he actually kind of slips when he loses his ring sense, and he stepped out of the ring and then touches his knee, kind of like he's going to propose, like that position on the outside of the ring. And then a win for Wakamoto Haru, which was just an exceptional post-Tachi drive. And so he just withstood that Tachi really well, and then he just drove back on Abi. As I'm watching more and more of Wakamoto Haru these days, especially on day 3, you really appreciate what the thinking man he kind of is about just repositioning all throughout quickly and making the right repositioning decisions in the moment. Yeah. And I think this is the beginning of that, showing itself. That's another storyline that maybe we'll see continue.
What I like about watching these two guys wrestle is they're good friends going against each other. They've been good friends for a long time. And so I feel like you kind of get a sense of, okay, if they had their wish of like what they would want to do on a free Saturday afternoon, it would be this. It would be wrestle each other and see who could go down to the ground first. And it's probably a pretty equal matchup, but they're having a good time against each other.
Yeah. And then they probably play video games, and then maybe after that, then they go home to their wife and kids. But
maybe.
Onosato versus Hiradeumi. Both of these guys are 24. Both of these guys are so exciting to watch. Hiradeumi exploded at the Tachi, and that's really one of the things we absolutely love about Hiradeumi. He's so exciting for that power that he has at the Tachi, and he exploded all into Onosato's face, chest. But Onosato looked great.
I feel like that needs a sound effect.
Sound effect, yeah. He did not fart on him. He just exploded.
That's right, my explosion sound. That's my girl explosion sound. Okay, come on, that's like my girl gun sound.
I think an explosion sounds more like woo.
Okay, that's good.
But that's like a slow bomb. Anyway, all that to say, Onosato looked really great, meaning he calmly just stepped to the side after he absorbed that huge burst of energy and Tachi from Hiradeumi. He was just a strong wall of body mass and went with a Tsukio Toshi thrust down position with his arms. Real quick, got into that position and then just laid Hiradeumi into the dirt right at the edge. So it looked like kind of another day at work for Onosato. That's what we want to see from him because he has so much potential. And he showed it day 1. He looked great. Then we have Kotozakura versus Shodai. And this was really fun because we love seeing Shodai up top again. And he has like drive this time. He Tachi-eyed, he was up high as usual, but he moves Kotozakura back and to the edge. It does make you wonder, about his strength sometimes because Kotozakura is so huge and so strong. The other guys say he's just like this like crazy strong mass that you kind of can't get a handle on. So Shodai, with all this energy, he's moving Kotozakura back and everyone in the crowd thinks, oh my gosh, I think he's going to finish off Kotozakura. But Kotozakura does a very simple maneuver. He steps to the right. As he's pushed to the ring's edge, he gets under Shodai's arms and over, he kind of lifts Shodai's arms up and over himself and thrusts him to the dirt with an extra shove to his back.
It was kind of Shodai's signature move. He Shodai'd Shodai.
He did.
Shodai got Shodai'd.
It was another at the edge Tsukio Toshi thrust down, which happened earlier. I can't remember what match it happened in. Oh, Onosato's. It was Onosato's match.
Yep.
And it was beautiful. And Shodai's overexcitement, I think, kind of caught him at the edge. I love to see Shodai excited. But yeah, that's why Kotozakura is really good. And he also thinks really fast in the moment.
Well,
and
it's different because Shodai is not usually the aggressor. It's a style of Shodai sumo that we all love, and I think one of the reasons he made it to Ozeki was that he was able to use this more aggressive style of sumo. in addition to being able to Shodai other people as he was moving backwards, right? It was like one of the many
I like
arsenals.
that you made that a verb, to Shodai somebody.
Yeah. I just found it really interesting on day one with him being back in Sanyaku that we get to see this more aggressive style right out of the gate. But then it didn't work for him against Koto Sakura.
I know. I wanted it to work for him.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I wanted him to have a win on his first time back in the Sanyaku ranks in a while.
Yeah.
So.
But at the same time, I want Koto Sakura to get his first Basho win. So
yes,
I want him to do well too.
Yes.
I'm surprised that you didn't mention a couple things. One was my favorite image of the day. Atami Fuji, after winning against Churanaumi and getting that bloody nose, standing on the edge of the dojo with like Kleenex shoved up into each nostril.
He actually took the time to be like, you know what? I need to lodge this up my nose right now, which usually they let the blood flow till they go backstage. But he was like, no, I need to put toilet paper up my nose right now.
Yeah.
And also, where did the toilet paper come from? Like, who had toilet paper in their mawashi? They were like, yo, bro, I got some toilet paper right here. Like, are there tissues over where the salt is?
Yeah, it must be those little tissues that they use to kind of wipe their mouth with, I guess. But I had no idea that like those could go up your nose and be that big. Yeah. There were so many questions I had.
Yeah, it seems like putting notebook paper up your nose.
Exactly.
But you know what?
Okay,
you work with what you got to work with,
I'm
right?
so glad you noticed this because that was where my brain was. I was like, oh, I wish I was sitting in the audience right there in front so I could see where that paper came from and what kind of paper it was. And is it that absorbent? Yeah. The other one I really loved on day one was Kirishima versus Wakataka Kage.
Yeah, talk about it.
I was really excited about that lineup because both of them ended the last Basho with 12-3. And Kirishima, I mean, both of them are on their way back up. Kirishima in particular needs big numbers to regain his Ozeki status. And Wakataka Kage coming back from that injury, doing super well last time. I was really excited to watch that on day one. And I think the two of them, when they're healthy, are particularly evenly matched. I think their styles are very different, but I love watching both of them go against each other. And the match just didn't disappoint for me. It went back and forth. Kirishima is much taller, but Wakataka Kage has such great defense from the side. It just didn't disappoint. And it ended with a ginormous Shitatanage that Wakataka Kage pulled this time against Kirishima. And it was just a big, powerful throw against a larger guy. And I was really impressed by it. And I found myself like just about jumping out of my chair when I watched it. So I was just surprised that you didn't mention it.
No, I have it in my notes. I just skipped over it accidentally.
Oh!
I have it as like the biggest match of the day, but I'm glad you mentioned it.
Okay.
Because, it was pretty exciting to watch. And Wakataka Kage was all over it. And Kirishima also fell to positioning. It reminds you how good Wakataka Kage is.
Yeah. Lots to love on day two. Takeru Fuji versus Toki Hayate on day two. Yeah. Let me just tell you what I expected first. I expected Takeru Fuji to completely obliterate Toki Hayate. He's bigger.
Right.
He's more muscular. I just expected him to walk over Toki Hayate and just like clean the floor with him. But that is not what happened at all.
Nope.
It was a surprise win for small Toki Hayate, who got inside fast, completely kept Takeru Fuji off balance. Oh, it was those small ankles. It
was the tiny ankles. All he needs to do is just do some ankle reps.
Yep.
I don't know what an ankle rep is, but he needs ankle reps. He needs cankles. Just to continue in sumo, he needs cankles. This is how Achilles was taken down.
Oh, it's his Achilles ankle.
It is,
That's exactly what it is.
They dipped the children into the river Styx.
Yep.
But they left their ankles vulnerable.
Yep.
And as he is a bronze god, he has been dipped in something that's bronzed him. But perhaps whatever that magic was, they were holding onto his ankles and they remain very vulnerable.
I'm just joking. I want the best for Takeru Fuji. I want him to be in the running for the big trophy. I do. I really, really do.
I do too. But I want him to come back up like triumphantly.
But I do enjoy...
We may not get that.
Yeah, I just enjoy when the guy you least expect to win actually pulls off a win that looks solid and is amazing.
Right?
Speaking of the same, I just have to mention... Sada Naomi never recovered from the galactic sonic blast that Meisei hit him with at the Tachiai. Meisei hit Sada Naomi upright, hit him to the side, hit him back and out of the ring. Sada Naomi just looked like a living bowling pin in this. He had nothing to offer. And I have no idea what happened. It is like he just blanked out for the 3 seconds that it took Meisei to knock him out. And I just mentioned that because it was
timing.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Man.
It could just be timing. If you are a split second slow, you can't recover if the energy blast is coming at you that fast.
Yep.
It's just not possible.
It is bizarre to watch. Chura Naomi versus Tobizaru.
Thank
Chura
you.
Naomi,
this was the best and most fun match.
I mean, I love Chura Naomi. He is so dedicated. I love watching this older wrestler just keep rising against all of the odds. He will always be one of my favorites simply because of his name and, of course, our connection, our personal connection across the road when I yelled his name at him and he walked into the arena.
I'm sure he remembers that.
I'm positive he remembers.
He probably uses that that bit of energy from you every time he enters that dojo.
Exactly. So I was on his side when he met Tobizaru, and this fight turned into the slappiest purple Mawashi fest back and forth fight with half spins. I mean, it looked like 2 little kids trying to slap each other.
And Tobizaru is very hilariously slappy, but he slaps with his head down and his arms way out.
Yes.
And that always makes it look funny.
Yes. Each pushed the other one to the edge at least once. Eventually, Tobizaru pushed on the back of Chura Naumi's head, and we got a Heitakikomi slap down.
Heitakikomi.
Yes, because sometimes I have to add the extra H in order to actually get it out of my mouth, because Japanese is not my native language, and I try my hardest, but many
sure
times
our
it doesn't
listeners
work.
know that Japanese is not both of our native languages. All right, we have such a sweet listener, and she chimes in to let us know, like, oh, it's pronounced this way. And we both actually really appreciate it. Like, I love it. It would be overwhelming if all of our listeners were continuously telling us, like, you pronounce this incorrectly. But I'm glad that we have, like, a native Japanese speaker who's like, oh, it's this, or it's this.
By the way,
so we're learning, but learning is a process. That takes time.
That's right. I'm just going to quickly mention the Ura versus Kirishima fight, because remember, Kirishima needs those wins. And this time, this fight, Kirishima, of course, met Ura, trying to keep him away, while Ura pushed and moved and dodged and weaved and tried everything he could to get taller Kirishima off balance. Ura pulled at one point. Kirishima got his balance back again, but not for long, because Ura, man, the timing was just perfect. He jumped in, pulled, and Kirishima went down. And it must be so hard not to overcommit when you're fighting someone like Ura, who can just pull and dodge and weave, and you have just got to be straight on your feet and know exactly where you are. And it didn't work for Kirishima on day 2, but very excited for that win for Ura. Wakataka Kage versus Daisho. Wakataka Kage, with his eyes blinking really hard and his muscles strong and rigid, walked right into the onslaught windmill of Daisho's pushes, grabbed the man, and walked him out. Pushed him right out. It was, like, inescapable. It was gorgeous. I had to watch it several times, because I was like, who has the courage to walk into that, like somebody pushing as hard as they can that fast and just like blink and walk right into it? It is nuts. But Wakataka Kage did it.
But you know, It is an interesting thing because I actually see that on other wrestlers. Like Atami Fuji has the same sort of closed off hunchback stance.
Yeah.
And it is like a boxer stance where they normally have their dukes up in front of them. But they have this kind of hunched over low head, they're looking up over the bridge of their nose up into the other guy's chest. But that seems to be the only way to be able to withstand the barrage of slaps and thrusts is to keep your chest closed off as opposed to open and wide. I mean, it's a bigger target. So you're making your chest a smaller target and harder to hit and have less of a forceful thrust if you do hit that area.
Because the closer you get, the less force comes through that push.
Because the guy can't extend his arms.
Exactly. So I get it, but the mental fortitude of actually doing it is something that's hard to comprehend. Really
it's like
hard
walking
to
into an airplane propeller.
Exactly.
Which is a constant nightmare of mine.
Yeah, it is. Well, it happened in an Indiana Jones movie, so of course that is the stuff.
No, it happens in real life. Some poor lady the other day ran into a propeller. They always are taking photos.
Oh God!
Because they're in a small plane, and when those propellers are moving fast, you can't see them.
Oh my God!
You take a picture, and then this happens over and over again. So for any of our listeners, please don't do that
unless you're Waka Takakage, who
unless
I'm
you're
sure
Waka Takakage,
somehow
who could withstand propellers.
Yes. Because that's what he did on day 2. It was a gorgeous win for Waka Takakage. The other one, Onosato looked big. He looked immovable. Yeah, I'm just going to skip right over that one. He won. But the last fight of the day, Wakamoto Haru versus Hoshoryu. Wow. There was a clash. The two of them ran at each other. The two of them pushed. Hoshoryu, with perfect timing, got Wakamoto Haru's arm and shoulder, pulled forward so that Wakamoto Haru was off balance, and then he pushed, like right in the center of Wakamoto Haru's chest, pushed him right out of the ring like he was the hero in a Marvel movie, like Expelliarmus or Harry Potter
movie.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And he was like standing tall in the center of the ring as Wakamoto Haru went flying back. It was so pretty and amazing, unbelievable win for Hoshoryu.
Yeah. And then he went home and watched Harry Potter 4 or whatever.
He was like, I used the right spell. That was a good spell. That one worked today.
Yeah. Day 3, Asakoryu, baby got his first win. It was not easy, I will say, but he won over also winless Bushozan up to this point. It was a couple of clever ducks to the side, so it was an Oshidashi win for Asakoryu. On his 3rd day of Makauchi, finally gets the win. But the best bout of the whole day, in my opinion, was Onokatsu versus Shishi. Now,
nice.
This was so much fun. This was an epic belt battle. Post Tachiai, Onokatsu got the advantage. He was a little bit lower in his stance, and he got a right inside, left outside grip on Shishi. Shishi then got the right outside, left inside grip. And these two guys went chest to chest and battled it out, pretty much kind of matching each other in strength. Onokatsu muscled Shishi to the edge, and you can say that his toes are Shishi's toes are so epically strong because he resisted being pushed over the bales when he was in releve. And he was gripping. Releve is a ballet term, like when you go up on your toes. Laurie knows this, but maybe nobody else knows this. When you go up on your toes, your tippy toes, that's releve. So he was on the bales in releve, and Onokatsu couldn't finish him off.
Wow.
So then, after that, they're still chest to chest. They kind of come back towards the center, and then Gyoji taps them because we have a wardrobe malfunction. Gyoji, it was like 40 seconds, retied the Mawashi. And this had been kind of a battle up to this point, so I think the guys probably appreciated the little
Mawashi?
Breaky poo, Shishi's. And the other thing, though, is that the Sagari, like Shishi's Sagari, was like wedged under his foot at this moment. And like people don't ever talk that much about the sagari that gets in the way. Those are the little apron type things that fall out all the time underneath their underneath their mawashi. The Gyoji was able to fix Shishi's, like retie it. and look over at the sideline judge to be like, does this look like an okay knot? And the sideline judge was like, yeah, it's okay. They can continue on. And then he moved the Sagari. So both guys then were tapped back in. At this moment, I was just kind of like, you know what? What sport does this? I friggin' love the ritual of the sport. No other sport takes 40 seconds to be like, you know what? You're not dressed appropriately for this line drive in football. Let me get your pads back into position. There is ritual around everything. And I just was like, that's one reason why I really love sumo. Anyway, they jostle each other, and Shishi kind of has the advantage, but he is up way too high. He has the power, though. He drives back on Onokatsu. He rushes Onokatsu to the edge, and then Onokatsu resists with his toes on the bales. On the other side, the crowd is going wild. They absolutely love it. Then Shishi tries to use all that momentum to try to pull Onokatsu down by backing him up, like using that momentum to back him to the edge and then yank him forward by laying him into the dirt. But the momentum is not there because his up high position kind of prevents ultimate momentum from happening. So Onokatsu is turning and heading kind of into the dirt, but he betters his grip in that little transition and gets this deep mawashi grip on Shishi. And then he gets into an uwatanage position and pulls Shishi to the dirt with an uwatanage throw. This was really great sumo from both guys. I wanted them both to win. So much heart in this. Shishi, my overall thought, Shishi is looking really strong in his Makuuchi debut. He's showing some really great skill. Has a lot to learn. Onokatsu reminds me that he may be new to Makuuchi, but he has lots of experience coming from college, and he has a lot of staying power as well. So this was a really fun match for me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching Onokatsu on day 2 against Chiyoshima. Chiyoshima's so fast, and Onokatsu met every single one of those twists and turns that Chiyoshima gave him. Right. So he's speedy. He's reactive. I think we're starting to see some of that, collegiate Yokozuna level sumo coming out a little bit more. Either he's getting more used to the competition around him, or the nerves are backing off some. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm particularly finding it exciting to watch Onokatsu. I mean, Shishi's great as well. Super, super fun fight, but Onokatsu's like really jumping out to me.
Yes, totes agree. Tamawashi won over Hokutofuji, but Hokutofuji's knee is just toast. The poor guy, he just looks rough. And
he still needs that same surgery.
So anyway, after that, who I was so worried about, Takara Fuji, he had a very strong Hataki Komi slapdown on Meisei. So then I was like, okay, maybe his elbow ain't bothering him that much, but maybe some techniques are always going to work for him. Now, after this, though, was a really fun bout, which is Ichi Yamamoto versus Midori Fuji. I love this matchup because I adore both of these wrestlers. What happened was Midori Fuji got sneaky Fuji and did a really quick, like Hidari, or like a henka to the left. It was like a left side hop. And boy, did Ichi Yamamoto fall for it. Literally. He went stumbling forward. Like there was no way he was going to stay up. It was a hilarious stumble, but he did stay up. He stayed on his feet. And that's when you angered Ichi Yamamoto, the beast, which he's not really a beast, but you can anger a really nice guy sometimes. And then he turned himself around. I know. He turned himself around like a bull, centered himself on Midori Fuji. Ichi Yamamoto comes in for a strong nodowa to the neck of Midori Fuji and yanks like hell on Midori Fuji's shoulder and chest area, and I guessed hand too. And Midori Fuji gets pulled straight to the dirt. And Ichi Yamamoto looked like a gangster. Sort of afterwards, he had this like look on his face, kind of like, you tried that, but it didn't work, buddy, which is about as mean as he probably sounds in real life. Good try, buddy, but no thanks, not today. And it was a hand pull down. Yeah, so win for Ichi Yamamoto and a little bit of sass afterwards, which I liked. Okay, Wakataka Kage versus Churros. Wakataka Kage just tachi-eyed hard. kept his head close to Chironoumi's chest, and drove hard, pushing Chironoumi backwards. Waka flew through the air to finish Chironoumi off at the edge and laid himself out. Chironoumi tried to slap down on Wakatakakage's back, but that low position from Wakatakakage was just too strong. It was strong enough to withstand the pushes on the back from Chiro's, so Chiro indeed was rushed over and out. Another really fun one. These two were your faves, right? Wakamoto Haru versus Ura.
Yeah, how can you go wrong? How can you go wrong?
Yeah, this was so much fun. This thinking man that Wakamoto Haru is, this is what you get to see when one man realizes he is in the tricky grip of Ura. Because I got his face, the position of the camera was like his face thinking, how the heck did I get into this position? I sense what Ura's doing. I know he's getting into one of these positions. He's going to try to flip me. What do I do to counteract that? And he did really great by thinking through it. So Ura post Tachiai, he thought he was going to try to get in close, use his head, getting under the armpit of Wakamoto Haru. And he was setting himself up, Ura was, for some sort of backwards throw on Wakamoto Haru, which we always love to see, right? Wakamoto Haru knew it. He saw it. He was up high. Ura was indeed nudged kind of underneath the armpit of Wakamoto Haru, and he was inching himself even stronger. And Wakamoto Haru then came over the top. He maki-kai'd his arms and kind of held up by the elbows, Ura's elbows, like to keep them kind of paralyzed in this awkward position. Mm-hmm. He kind of was able to blunt a little bit of the momentum or the force that Ura was going to use to throw him. So just as predicted, Ura dipped down real low into a squat position and then shot up like he's going to do a flip-flop and tried to do a backwards body drop throw on Wakamoto Haru. But instead, Wakamoto Haru stayed upright and Ura ended up flipping himself and Wakamoto Haru kind of just stepped forward. And I think that was all, I mean, anybody else would have been toast if they didn't do what Wakamoto Haru was, which was take away some of the power Ura was going to have when he tried to dip down and then flip back up really hard. So I think Wakamoto Haru was pulling up when Ura dipped down. And I think that that's why I love Wakamoto Haru, why I love his thinking through that, and also why we love Ura for even trying it.
That's right.
But it was an Oshi Taioshi win for Wakamoto Haru. We had a little psych push and play from Kirishima versus Abi, and Abi ended up with the win, and I felt like Kirishima is 0-3.
He is.
And it feels very weird. But I think he still mentally gets psyched out when some things just kind of don't go to plan, and they couldn't align their breathing. Then Abi mata'd on him, and it was just like, maybe from the get-go, if he's a little off-center, he just can't follow through.
I imagine the second week for him is going to be easier and we'll see more wins from him. But it would have been nice to see him start this thing with at least 2 out of 3 wins. It's right. From this point on, he can't get his Ozeki status. He needed 13, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, he's not going to get his Ozeki status back this time. But if he can put together a run from now until the end... It would be,
be
a confidence booster at least. I don't know. It's tough. Any way you look at it, it's hard to get going from a 0-3 start.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. That's a poopy way to start.
I know.
Hoshoryu easily won over Hiradoumi, who is now sitting at 0-3 as well. He won the Tachiai with a huge blast, and Hiradoumi just rocketed backwards to the edge and could never recover. He tried to retreat sideways, didn't work. Hoshoryu just bowled over him, and it was a really easy oshidashi for Hoshoryu. Now, Oho versus Kotozakura. Oho is finally getting there, and I know I have been a champion of this kid for a long time, and I believe in him, and this battle was a slow, strong battle between these two guys, full of epic back slaps, trying to move each other, trying to pivot away, trying to get an advantage on positioning. They were evenly matched. which is interesting to say, I think, because I don't think a lot of people evenly match Kotozakura. This match, they both seemed, in this moment in time, equally matched. Eventually, Oho just kind of wears down Kotozakura and finishes him off, staying closed off, low down, centered on Kotozakura's chest to push him finally back and over the bales. Oho, throughout this bout, what gave him the win, he was faster, he countered just as quickly as Kotozakura, and he stayed on him with thrusts to the back chest, just knocking him all around, and finally a belly push at the end just finally put him over the edge. So Oho is 1 win, 2 losses, but his 1 win is over Kotozakura, which I like to see.
Well, I know a lot of people were disappointed that Oho did not make it to Komusubi this last Basho. All I can say is if he keeps fighting like this, it's not going to be long. If he keeps this kind of sumo going, then he will be there soon. When he met with day 2, he met with Onosato, right? Mm-hmm. Double checking my notes. It's only 1 day away, but it's so, they all start to blend together. Onosato just looked so much faster than him. Onosato just moves that very large body so much faster, or at least he did on day 2. Now, day 3, it was a different story. Oho looked much faster. So I don't know if it's a question of finding that fire before it begins, or it's a question of getting his favorite grip and then he can shift and move quickly. But
maybe it was from the tachiai and just Oho won the tachiai with his best position. It could have just been simple as that. Yeah.
He just needs to pull this kind of sumo to the front more often. And then I think he'll rise quickly. He's got the size, he's got the strength. Just got to be fast.
And he's sitting in Maegashira 1, and this was an Ozeki win. Yeah. So good on him.
Yeah.
Last match of the day, Shodai versus Onosato. Shodai at the tachiai met Onosato and just kind of rocketed backwards. He kind of fell backwards. And Onosato put his hand on the neck of Shodai with like a nodowa and kept him up too high and unable to reposition himself in a lower position. Onosato followed forward and finished him off easy. Straightforward. The kid looks so strong. His body is a major asset. And just the blunt force of that much energy from the tachiai is just too much for anyone. And you're going to have to get real clever to take down this incredibly strong and huge kid. It was an Oshidashi win for Onosato. And that leaves him at 3-0. And Komusubi Shodai at 0-3.
Onosato is able to create, do you know the term fast twitch muscle?
Yeah.
That is the term that crosses my mind whenever I see him tachi. The amount of power and speed he is able to generate in that one moment, always stepping forward, is incredible. It is just flat out incredible. And I see it sometimes from other people too. It's not like it's out of the ordinary, but he does it every single time.
Right.
And it's kind of like when we watched Takeru Fuji win that Basho that he won, it was kind of like, wow, he's doing it in the first few moments of every single one of these fights. And it feels that way with Onosato as well. It's just like definitive. I will win. I'm stronger. I'm faster. I'm stepping forward. They always say, as long as you step forward, you won't lose. And it's kind of like, it's so obvious when you watch this kid. Or like when you watch Taco, it's so obvious, just like stepping forward and generating that power.
Yeah, when you can withstand that much of an energy blast that comes to you and not budge backwards at all, and you can reposition or you can get the grip you want in that position, that's incredible strength. And that's the gift of his body, the width of his body, the size. Like, I saw him up close and personal. He's enormous.
Yeah, he is.
Right?
But it also has something to do with his frame. Like, the
it's
length of his arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his pushes... it must be that, he just gets the angles just right and his arms are reaching people just like milliseconds before other people can get set up right? Or
And Shodai's tall too, so maybe for someone like Onosato, it's easier for him to just get the belt grip because he's got the size on Shodai and maybe just as much strength. A smaller guy may create more problems for him, as some of these big guys have. But Shodai just proved to be kind of an easy match for him, it seemed. That's all I got for day 3.
Oh my gosh, so much good sumo happening, y'all. I cannot wait to see the next week. I cannot wait to see Kirishima get his first win. I cannot wait to see who can
Maybe Shodai get his first win.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see
Umi get his first win.
No, who can beat Onosato? I can't wait for Waka Takakage versus Onosato again to see what happens.
I know.
There's so much that I'm looking forward to. Hoshoryu is looking so strong. It's exciting. Both Waka brothers are looking amazing. There's just a lot to get behind and cheer on this time. It's exciting to watch this happen. I haven't felt quite the same amount of excitement in a bit.
Yeah.
And so it's fun.
It is fun. I hope everybody's enjoying it as much as I am. I am enjoying it very much.
Yay.
Until next week, we will bring you days 4 through 10 or 11, something like that.
Yep.
And we'll be back at you then.
Yep.
Until then, I'm Leslie.
Laurie, see you later.
Bye.